Arizona Attorney General Kris Mayes, along with 20 other attorneys general, mostly Democrats, have filed a number of lawsuits against actions by the Trump administration. The most recent suit involves the administration's efforts to dismantle the Department of Education. And Attorney General Kris Mayes joins us now here on Arizona Horizon. Good to see you again.
Thanks, Dad. It's good to be here.
It's always busy for you, isn't it? It's always something.
It hasn't been boring, that's for sure.
You know, the mass firing of federal workers, there was movement on that. A couple of courts said one judge called the whole thing a sham. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sham. And you know, we sued, the Democratic AG sued to stop this mass firing of mostly probationary workers at federal agencies. You know, agencies like the Agriculture Department, the Veterans Administration, and the firefighters were being laid off, you know, with the United States Forest Service. Up in Payson, we saw people who were fired in Payson right before fire season, all because they were probationary workers and they were given letters that said that they had not performed their duties, which was ridiculous. Many of these people had glowing reviews, had done a fantastic job, and we filed suit, you know, you know, for several reasons. Number one, the president does not have the authority to engage in this activity without Congress's approval. This is a violation of the separation of powers, and it's a violation of the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act. So, and most importantly, Ted, this is harming our state. I had a conversation, just to give you an example, 2 days ago with a very conservative mayor of a small town around an area, around a military base where 600 people have just been fired in Arizona. And that's going to have a huge and negative impact on our state.
Now, the judges, this is kind of a temporary reprieve here, right? One was a temporary order, and the other was like a 2-week pause, correct?
Right. So in most of these cases, so now we've filed 7 lawsuits, we have won what are called temporary restraining orders, TROs. Mm-hmm. And that's a temporary pause. And then, of course, we will seek a preliminary injunction in many of these cases, and sometimes we already have, to get a more permanent injunction against these actions, which are, you know, many of them blatantly unconstitutional. You know, it's not easy to get a TRO. And the fact that we have gotten, I think, 6 TROs already, 6 out of the 7, speaks volumes that what President Trump and Elon Musk are doing is unconstitutional.
The administration says that the agencies were not acting on orders from what the Office of Personnel Management, in other words, the White House, that they were making these decisions on their own, and you're not buying that, are you?
No, because it runs counter to what they have said themselves. I mean, Elon Musk is running around in Doge, you know, running around bragging about all these firings, bragging about how they're, you know, I mean, he's running around with his chainsaw, like some kind of a fool, talking about these cuts that he's making. They're saying that Doge is making the cut. So, you know, there's proof that what they're now trying to claim is a complete lie.
And the idea of poor performance, again, the administration made that claim as well.
Yeah. Well, that's absurd. I mean, all evidence shows that most, if not all, of these employees who are being terminated, being laid off in this incredibly cruel fashion, were high performers. And, you know, Ted, we had a town hall just a couple weeks ago. Me, along with 3 other AGs, Minnesota, New Mexico, and Oregon, came down to Arizona and did a town hall with me. 450 people showed up to our town hall. Many people very concerned about these firings. One woman stood up and said, you know, I worked at the VA until I was just fired. I am a music therapist, and the 80 veterans that I serve today didn't get to get that therapy. And so, you know, this is hitting the VA hard. It's hitting veterans hard. You know who works for federal agencies often? Veterans. There are hiring preferences for veterans, so they are the ones who are being fired by Donald Trump.
But the gist of the lawsuit is you don't have the authority to do this.
Yeah, correct. I mean, in almost all of these cases, what we're standing up for is the power of Congress. Under our constitutional system, we have 3 branches of government, and only Congress has the authority to make these decisions. And in fact, in some of these cases, like the federal funding freeze, where we also filed suit to prevent that freeze, Congress had already made the decision to fund these agencies. And, you know, no president, whether Democratic or Republican or independent, or certainly no unelected billionaire, has the power to come in and override that.
That is a gist as well of the lawsuit involving the Department of Education?
Yes, essentially, yes.
Yeah.
So we've made the same, that's my most recent lawsuit, our most recent lawsuit, where Donald Trump and Elon Musk want to slash the entire Department of Education, which, by the way, provides resources to the states for low-income schools, Title I schools, and for special needs kids, for SPED kids, kids who are living with autism. That's how they receive 40% of their funding is supposed to come from the federal government and the Department of Education, and we're very worried that these cuts are going to interrupt that.
Overall, Arizona gets what, 19 some odd percent from feds?
Yeah, it depends on the school district, but yeah, basically, 20%, sometimes more. And the education department cuts, I think, are going to fall heavily on our rural communities, which I'm very, very worried about, because our rural school districts aren't able to bond and override like our urban school districts can to make up for those potentially lost federal funds.
Linda McMahon, who runs the Department of Education, she says the layoffs will help deliver services more efficiently. You buying that?
It's insane. She's provided no proof for that. What is their plan? There's no plan. They provided no plan for how this is going to be provided more efficiently. I mean, think about it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Lay all of this on the Arizona Department of Education and Tom Horne? I mean, Tom Horne can't even adequately run the voucher program in this state. So now we're going to expect the Arizona Department of Education to run all the Title I funding, all of the IDEA funding, et cetera, et cetera.
So when the administration says that all of President Trump's executive actions are lawful and constitutional, you say? That's
crazy. Of course not. And that's why we're winning all of these cases. I mean, we're doing a lot of winning right now.
Are you tired of winning?
Well, no, I never get tired of winning, but I am tired. I am tired of having to file these lawsuits. This is not acceptable, and the harm is falling on the people of Arizona.
The administration, though, says that the changes will not affect things like student loans, Pell Grants, or funding for special needs students, as you just described. They say that's not going to happen.
Again, how is that even possible? They just slashed half of the U.S. Department of Education, and they have not said how they are going to provide those services or how they're going to provide additional resources to states to provide those resources. We don't have the infrastructure in Arizona to run those programs. This is the problem. They have a chaotic, out of control effort to totally decimate American government, and they're doing it in an unconstitutional way, and they're doing it in a way that in several occasions they have tried to essentially ignore federal court orders.
We just heard Stephen Miller, the Assistant White House Chief of Staff, talking about how the American public elected Donald Trump to do X, Y, and Z. There are those who say that you're defying the will of an elected president to get rid of bloat, to get rid of things like the Department of Education, which many Republicans don't think should even exist, that you are basically defying the will of an elected president.
So I do not believe that Arizonans voted to shred the American Constitution and to shred the Arizona Constitution. And when I was elected, I raised my right hand and I swore to uphold the Constitution. And that's what we're doing. We're upholding the rule of law. Ted, look at the outrage that we're seeing from Arizonans and Americans over what's happening. Arizonans don't support this. You know, there's a reason that Donald Trump's polling numbers have cratered among independent voters. They've cratered among independent voters because voters Americans don't like chaos.
Let's get existential here. Let's say that all these things move their way through the courts and they make their way to the Supreme Court, and you win. You win, you win, you win. Maybe lose one here, but you win for overall. And he says, you and what army are going to enforce this? Is that being considered?
Yes, and it is absolutely unthinkable and surreal that we're even in a situation where you're asking me that question and I'm responding to it. And so, yes, the Democratic attorneys general and others are thinking through this question because at the end of the day, the United States Supreme Court will receive these cases. They will wend their way up to the court, and they will have to decide whether they still believe in America, whether they still believe in the Constitution, whether they still believe in the separation of powers. And then if Donald Trump ignores them, we've got to figure out what we're going to do.
And last question here. You've been quoted as saying our nation hasn't faced this kind of peril since the Civil War. You really believe that?
I do really believe that. And I also think that we're in the midst of an ongoing coup. And I don't say that lightly, but I say that because we've already seen a president in President Trump who has been willing to defy federal court orders. And he's done that in several cases, the one you just talked about, but also one of my cases, we had to go get what's called a motion to compel on 2 occasions where we thought that they were willfully or they were violating a federal court order. And that is unprecedented.
Do you anticipate, real quickly, any more legal action here? I mean, the night is young.
Tonight or just in general?
Just in general.
At this rate, the way this president is behaving and the way he seems totally willing to violate the Constitution, yeah, I think there'll be probably many more lawsuits.
Kris Mayes, Arizona Attorney General, always a pleasure. Good to